Hey guys, Dantix here, back with another XCOM Chimera Squad video. If you don't know what this game is all about, I suggest checking out my Everything You Need to Know video in the description below. Veterans of the XCOM series will know that, generally speaking, characters can be named by you and are relatively blank slates for you to roleplay. This is not the case in Chimera Squad, as you have 11 agents to utilize, including alien species, each with their own unique set of skills, abilities, and motivations. They'll speak during combat and add their own personality during the campaign. So in this video, I'll be running through all 11 agents you'll have access to in Chimera Squad, their potential playstyle, abilities, and what to expect. Since you can only take a handful with you on any mission, you'll naturally gravitate towards using one or two as much as you can. As long as you keep them injury-free, that is. So let's find out what stands out most to you. First up is a current fan favorite, the Snake Girl Torque.
I love the sexy slither of a lady snake. Oh, baby.
Torque is a Viper Inquisitor. Vipers may give you PTSD flashbacks of your safe, healthy squad mates being tongue-lashed across the map and death-gripped in a puddle of poison. At that point, it was pretty much GG for getting the man alive, let alone without injury. Torque is a master of unit manipulation, letting her long tongue drag her enemies from cover and pull squad mates out of harm's way. She can poison enemies to deal sustained damage or bind enemies and prevent them from taking actions. So we know she can utilize her tongue in both an offense and defensive way. Positioning is incredibly important in XCOM, as a unit behind cover can be relatively safe, whereas one in the open or flanked will melt. Speaking of melt, Viper's poison was a great area denial tool in XCOM 2, and it will most likely function in the same way in Chimera Squad. So no doubt there'll be combos between her and, well, herself, and also agents that can lock enemies in place like Shelter. Her rap attack may sound meh to those who prefer to just start blasting, but locking down a powerful high HP enemy can turn the tide of battle. Especially if it's the only enemy left, that will do a bit of damage before being taken out. With turn initiative, it's even more deadly than it was in XCOM 2, as you can wrap an enemy whose turn is next, denying that enemy's round completely and letting two agents act before the enemy. For those who aren't aware, in Chimera Squad, after the breach phase, which I go through in that other video, Agent 1 will go first, then the enemy, then Agent 2, then the second enemy, and so on. Therefore, disrupting individuals at the right time is more potent than ever. Another benefit of Torque is her slender snake body that can breach through small areas like vents, giving her a particular advantage in some missions. In this case, going through the vent gives her more initial breach armor, makes her harder to hit, and makes her shots stun. Next up is the hybrid Warden Cherub. Warden is a fitting class, as he's all about tanking, buffing, and supporting the team. The first thing you'll notice is that he carries with him an energy shield. You'll feel less anxious putting Cherub in the front lines to protect more fragile agents that function better when not the focus of the enemy team. Cherub's positive attitude and enthusiasm help lift the morale of those around him. His efforts to support his squad mates and improve their dispositions has proven his dedication on multiple occasions. This is reflected in his ability to buff allies, giving him more damage or accuracy. This, and the fact that he can tank hits and protect allies, works particularly well with characters that hit multiple targets like Blue Blood or Claymore. He also has multiple shield bash type attacks that, when landing the finishing blow, will knock an enemy unconscious instead of outright killing them. This will be good when you need to arrest key targets and will serve to get you rewards. Verge, the sectoid envoy, is up next, and if you know anything about sectoids, you know that they can be annoying sons of bitches. Verge seems to be no different, using powerful psionics to control the battlefield. Verge is the strongest offensive psion in Chimera Squad, adept at disabling enemies and influencing their mental states. He's also skilled in telekinesis, able to rip enemies out of cover to improve his squad mates' hit chances. So besides powerful damaging psionic attacks, Verge is there to make sure enemies always have to be on guard. He'll feel like a glass cannon of sorts, but will be a powerful tool to ensure that the rest of your team have less enemies to worry about. Next is Aksum, the Muton Breaker. I mean, do we even need to give Mutons a class? I mean, they're all breakers, right? Well, on Aksum's character sheet, it lists high damage, so expect him to be your bruiser. Aksum masterfully controls his temper and uses his rage to fuel his strength during combat. He can smash cover, panic enemies during a breach, and perform a devastating quake maneuver that damages all nearby enemies. You definitely don't want to make him mad. So Aksum favors the close-range shotguns and his good old-fashioned fists. He can apply self-buffs between Rage, Adrenal Surge, and Psych Up. which make him more deadly. He can also smash cover and key environmental objects, leaving the enemies vulnerable. He can charge enemies with the battering ram ability and shrug off damage. When reaching Principal Agent rank, he learns Quake, which is a devastating AoE attack that destroys all nearby cover and damages all nearby units once a mission. You want to have him already charged in using Battering Ram before unleashing this because it hits your allies. Next we have Zephyr, another hybrid but with the class Hellion. Zephyr is also a bruiser of sorts but with a little twist. She can only attack in melee or close quarters. Zephyr is a living weapon and one of Chimera Squad's most brutal melee combatants. She can pummel enemies with brute force, parry incoming damage, then vanish across the battlefield with her blink and you miss it mobility. She also has a melee overwatch that does extremely high damage, so as shown, she combos well with any character that's good at displacing targets like Torque, Verge or Shelter. If Aksum is the warrior of the group, then Zephyr is the rogue. Fast, lots of movement and high individual damage, plus her roundhouse kick could challenge Chuck Norris. Next is Shelter, the human scion. Yes, it's time to talk about those filthy humans, so let's start with the least traditional of the bunch, a scion. Shelter is able to, like Verge, use psionics. Shelter prefers to use his powers defensively though. He buffs his allies, relocates friend and foe, and even creates psychic clones with those of the same abilities. He has powerful defensive buffs which combo well with characters that need to get into the thick of battle, like Zephyr. He's also able to swap any ally's position with that of an enemy, which can be used both defensively and offensively. Defensively to get someone out of trouble or into valuable cover, or offensively to swap an enemy into a compromising position next to heavy hitters or next to potential AoE. One offensive attack he has is Soulfire. Even though it's offensive, it has a defensive portion to it by delaying the target's turn. It also ignores cover and armor and does guaranteed damage. Perfect for finishing off targets as well as protecting teammates from an enemy that will act next. Guaranteed. It's shown here to do 4 damage, which is more or less the same as his gun at this stage, so using a 2-turn cooldown ability will most likely be a common practice. Next is Patchwork, the human operator. Patchwork's specialty is, in all caps, tech. She's a valuable combatant against robotic enemies and a master hacker of security systems and an expert of the strategic application of deadly electric shocks. Fairly straightforward, she's your tech lead that takes advantage of her drone to provide niche services. If you know you're going to be facing some robotic enemies, no one is better as she can turn the tide of battle if given access to beautiful circuitry by reprogramming those targets, turning an enemy into an ally. She'll still be useful in battles without robotic enemies, as there will be always something to hack, granting your team bonuses, intel, or resources, and she can utilize offensive abilities like Chaining Jolt, Voltic Arc, and Capacitor Discharge. She can also scan enemies for weaknesses and hack particular doors, giving her different breaching potential in particular missions. Next is Blue Blood, the human gunslinger. True to his class, Blue Blood is all about utilizing his guns in a Han Solo-like fashion. Blue Blood's strength are his strategic mind and his precision targeting, particularly with his special sidearm, the Lancer pistol, which can blast through line-of-sight penalties and enemy cover bonuses. Most of his skills revolve around Revolver, dealing high damage and hitting multiple opponents, so it combos well with those that can buff his damage or keep him safe, like Warden or Terminal. There really isn't much more to say. If you want a traditional gunner on your team, Blue Blood fits that role. Every squad needs a medic, and Terminal, the human, fits that role almost exclusively. Terminal has proven to be as fearless as an android in battle, saving hundreds of lives during the war. As Chimera Squad's sole combat medic, she does what it takes to keep her squad mates breathing. She's as handy with a gun as she is with a medkit. Using her medical drone, Terminal is able to stabilize fallen agents from range, meaning you won't need to worry about that pesky game over screen. She's able to heal and buff her squad from range as well, and works well with teammates who want to get in and absorb damage, or teammates that find themselves overcommitting to fights. With Terminal in the squad, you can play a little more fast and loose than you would have before. The best offense has the best defensive foundation. Next is Claymore, a human demo expert. On Chimera Squad, Claymore outputs heavy damage through specially made explosives. His devices removes obstacles, allows the squad to breach dangerous facilities, and give his enemies something pretty to look at during their final moments on this planet. Claymore can equip more explosives than any other teammate and has access to many explosive abilities. Like some other agents, if he's on your squad during the breach, there may be special Claymore only access points. Claymore is another damage-focused character but comes in a loud, multi-hitting AoE fashion. So naturally he combos well with characters who displace and group up enemies together. The psionics Verge and Shelter especially. High damage characters that have line of sight issues will also appreciate his ability to remove cover and expose enemies from range. With explosives comes team damage, so if using Torque's tongue abilities or frontliners like Zephyr, Cherub and Aksum, be extra careful. Last and definitely the least shown character, Godmother the Human Ranger. If you played XCOM 2, you'll know exactly how the Ranger functions. It's all about ambush and stealth. The Godmother's varied shotgun skills can destroy and flush out enemies from cover, land guaranteed shots, and increase her chances for scoring critical hits, all the while her extensive combat experience keeps her dodging incoming shots from enemies. She's not exactly a frontliner, but she does well up close with her powerful no-miss attacks. She's able to enter a cloak-like state and flank her enemies, and has abilities to help her avoid damage after the fact. She's an offensive character through and through, and if you want a traditional teammate on your roster, Godmother is another great choice. So those are all 11 agents you'll get to play with in Chimera Squad. You'll also have access to androids which will join the fight after an agent is downed, but they don't possess any abilities, so think of them as a rookie from XCOM 2. Which agent do you think you'll use the most? Personally, I gotta go with my boy Verge, just look at that face. So thanks so much for watching, remember to do the typical YouTube stuff and hit that bell. I'll be back soon with more. Ciao friends.